Hey, this is Apparat and you are watching BOBE Me.
Welcome to Riga. Is this your first time here?
Nah, I've been here. It's kind of complicated to remember the places where you've been over the years. So, I know I have been to Riga, but I just don't really know exactly when. But I think the last time is not even long ago.
Oh. So basically you can rediscover a new place every time.
In a way you can, yeah. Most of the time you're in different places, different venues anyways. And it takes a few times until you really arrive in a city and you start to know what's going on. And then you don't go there for 2 years and then I forget all about it again. Like Paris, for example. Now I go to Paris and I don't know much about it. It's crazy. My mind is just always somewhere else, so I tend to forget things.
I was wondering, your stage name, Apparat, what is the story behind that?
Yeah, it's no real story, you just sit down at some point, you think about a name, you choose one that's on top of every list because it starts with A. It's easy. It's kind of like back in the days when I was really electronic and more into machine music than music that is actually made by humans. I thought that was a fitting name.
I know you've been into business music industry for a very long time, but I want to take you back to the very beginning. What was the moment, the time that you kind of felt connected with music and that you knew that you want to be a musician?
Oh, that's... Seriously, as long as I can remember, I really wanted to make music. My father was a musician. He played bass and then he was the sound technician of a band. So I was always around rehearsal spaces and concert venues. And it was pretty much what I wanted to do. I started playing drums, but then when I was 15, electronic music got in my way and I thought, why should I play drums? No one needs drums. So I kind of forgot all about this for 10 years, and then suddenly I realized that there's a lot of other music around that is not purely electronic, and I bought a drum kit again.
So back to the roots.
Pretty much, yeah. Not that I really made any music when I was a kid. I went to music school and learned to play drums.
And how has the perception of music, the way you feel it, the way you make it, changed over time? I understand you made a shift from, as you already said, from more industrial music, more machine music to live music. Was that kind of part of the development as an artist?
Yeah, I guess so. I just started very early, I guess. I started DJing when I was 15, and then I pretty much only listened to techno for 10 years. And that's a long time when you're young, especially, because your teenage years, they feel like forever. So at some point I was just ready for something else. And I really just had to discover that there's other music. I was completely in my tunnel, and I didn't listen to any radio music, whatever. I didn't really think that anything interesting could be going on out there. And then at some point I just started searching and I found so much stuff post-rock or contemporary classic music, whatever. There's something cool in every genre. You just have to find it. And that was an awesome time because I just found so much amazing stuff.
Did it feel a bit overwhelming because there is so much stuff, so many genres? Which one to pick?
It always does. It still feels like that because there's so much music, even more than ever, and it's all accessible right there in front of you. So it's always, from time to time I have my moments when I think I should play more DJ shows. It's fun and it's kind of my hobby. It's like dancing, for other people. For me, it's playing DJ shows. So I sit down and I start preparing for them after not having listened to techno for whatever 1 or 2 years. And I'm facing a complete new situation because there's so much stuff and so much new stuff. And of course, it's always you have to motivate yourself to dig through it because there's so much garbage. But there is good stuff. It's just hidden and hard to find, and you gotta be digging deep. And I have to do that every 2 years or every 3 years.
What is your latest, like, hottest find you have found in music?
That's a little. It's a lot of different things because, for example, last year I was DJing a lot. And I kind of rediscovered a lot of like UK techno, like because the English men they have their special approach to it. They are able to make experimental music in a dancey way, which is really cool because a lot of experimental music is just not dancey and you can't DJ it, which made me stop DJing in the very first place about 15 years ago because it was very frustrating. So there's cool stuff from like Bristol, like Livity Sound, labels like that. They make like danceable experimental music, which is really cool. I was celebrating that big time last year or the year before. And then I also listened to like more weirder, like acoustic soundscapey music that is just interesting to me as a producer because I'm also a nerd. And whenever I listen to something, I am analyzing a lot. And I love it if I listen to something and for me it's hard to analyze. There are these guys from somewhere West Coast in America, Visible Cloaks they're called, and they make really interesting music. It's kind of like ambientish and very like, it's definitely listening music. Yeah. So I have something I like in every department basically. Yeah.
And when you were on stage as a DJ and now that you're playing with a live band, how do those feelings differ? When you were on stage playing your own music and back then as a DJ?
Well, I've never really taken myself too serious as a DJ because it was never really the right thing for me. I can go on a stage and I can play my music in the best possible way, and maybe we can try to alter the set list, but that's about it. You know, I can't really like adjust to like situations or whatever, and you really need to do that as a DJ. You need to have empathy with the crowd. You need to read the crowd and kind of like give them what you think is right at the moment. And I've never been good at that. So for me, this is a big difference. When I DJ, I kind of try to do that, but it's always kind of hard, and I end up just playing stuff to people I like. It's like a presentation of music I like. And when I play band shows or other live shows with my music, it's just always for me to like present my music in the best possible way. That's what I try to do, and that's what I think best at. Yeah.
You released your latest album just last month. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Because I understand it took some time to put it together. Does it have a story, a message?
Well, the question about the message is, with every other album, I could have told you something about it. This one is really... I had some concepts before and I had some ideas and whatever, like things I wanted to say, but it all just happened in a different way in the end. And it got all mixed up and something completely different emerged. And that was actually a really, really nice and beautiful process. And I was just trying to not be in the way. So no, it's really no red line or whatever. The only thing that I can say about it is that it was, and I think my friends from Mode Selector would say the same, for us it was a bit of the need to have the biggest possible contrast to what Moderat was to us. Because we did it for a long time. We played a lot of shows with Moderat, big shows, epic shows, and I wanted to have some sort of contrast, and yeah, that's what LP5 was in the end.
In your music you have a different kind of combination of sounds. Does when you create music, does the surroundings where you're in, do they affect the way you create your music?
I don't really think that it really matters where I am when I make music. I did think that this is the case, and that's why I moved to Mexico for a while when I was working on my second last album. And I had a great time. We were there for like 4 months in a little village, and then I went to Berlin, And I just continued working on it, and it didn't feel like it was any different. It's just I didn't have such a great time doing it because Mexico was obviously much nicer, and we just went to the beach in between and tried to surf and blah blah blah. And in Berlin, I just went outside and I was a depressed, poor whatever idiot because I just went there in the winter. I don't know. It was so. I think in the end, you make music in kind of like closed rooms, often without windows. And I think that's good because it helps you to transport yourself in some sort of bubble. And in this bubble, you kind of try to go as deep as possible into what's going on in yourself. And then you got to try to get that out. And probably this is the same in any place.
What would you say is, for you as an artist, so far your greatest accomplishment? Or do you think that you have reached it, or is it yet to come?
You always think that there's something more to come, it's kind of like it's in our capitalist DNA, it always needs to be more and more and more and bigger. And it's not actually a very rewarding concept because there can't be always more. So I'm like lately I'm trying to just take it easy and be like, okay, it's been, we've done so many cool things. And I was also very lucky because it was like gradually like getting better and better and better, but not like this, too much. It was just like a very smooth ride. And I would totally love to just continue this ride. But I don't think I need like even bigger stages or whatever. Or it's kind of, and it also doesn't really make such a difference anymore at some point. If you play for 200 or for 20,000 people, it's in the end it's a concert, and you try to play the best possible concert for the people that are there. And so once you realize that, it's easier to actually feel happy with what you're doing.
If you were offered in tomorrow or in 2 days to perform in a 80,000 stadium, like, would you like straight go for it, or you would kind of go with the plans you had right now?
I wouldn't give a shit, seriously. I mean, I told you, it doesn't matter at all. It's really if there are different criteria that are important. It's not really size or whatever. It's just it needs to be possible to deliver the show you want to deliver. That means you need like technical requirements. It needs to look in a decent way and whatever. Maybe the weather should be nice. But this is important. I mean, honestly, I've like 2 years ago, we played Roskilde Festival in Denmark on the main stage, and I was like really excited. And at some point during the set, I fell off the fucking stage.
Were you okay?
I was really close to break my leg again. I felt that. It was like, okay, 20 centimeters more, and I would not have gotten up again. But that's the shit that happens when you're like, you're like, you don't have your like focus in the right place. So now I'm trying to do better and just meditate. Yeah.
If you could change one and only one thing in the world, what would it be?
Oh, that's mean if it's just one thing. Yeah, I mean, I'm a born East German, and I would definitely try to make people more equal again, because something's totally fucking out of control. It's like everything is on one pile and just a few people have access to that one pile, and that's totally wrong. So if there would be a way to change that, I think the rest would just come. And yeah.